Well, hello everyone. Here to show you that the voice messaging skills, the coloring activity right here, as you see right here, is I went ahead and drew right here is a telephone. It's a keypad it is, and any of us will probably thinking about that yeah, I may have said maybe more than a dozen times, of course, about different phones, such as Magic and of course with Skype, and of course with different phones, it is cell phones, it is other technology, it is. But basically, that one thing, of course, that I mentioned before is talking about right here is a voicemail service, and any of us will probably thinking about with voice messaging is if most of us here have had experience about going out and buying an answering machine system, it is such as that one you buy like a brand name, if most of us are familiar with maybe like a AT&T or Southwestern Bell type of answering machine systems, it is that it's a machine that where you had to deal with the wiring and stuff like that, just be able to connect it, of course, to the telephone, and of course, to the telephone line it is. And I can remember whenever Caller ID, of course, came out, I think it was back in 1996, whenever it came out, that when Caller ID was announced, and be able to read that the numbers about, for the incoming calls it was. And a lot of ways that be wondering about caller ID. But then of course, if there was any type of instrument that you maybe be able to have available, like on the computer, such as on Skype, where you can actually find out about where the call is coming from. If you don't recognize the area code or something, that you can maybe press star 944 or something like that. It's like if you want to press the star or the pound button right here, is like that you would be able to trace about where the call would be coming from. It is, and you have it's like maybe like the map view or something like that. But other than that, anybody will probably think about, like I may have mentioned before, it's like with the white crayon. Anybody may think about that it's in there. It's in there, but more likely you probably think about maybe rarely it's used, huh? It's like talking about that with the white. The white more likely means it's made to erase any type of work that you may be doing. It is, if it's related to give it the number the number one right here. Number one could mean it's like anybody will probably thinking about a lot of times with one. Between 1 and 0, a lot of times if you just dial 0, then it more likely connects you to the operator. But then if you were to dial 1, it is. A lot of people probably think about with like the voice messaging services, it is that voice messaging systems that a lot of times that you would push like 1 or 3 or 7 or something like that, just to get the voice messaging system. And a lot of times that people probably thinking about that the voice messaging system could mean it's like oh hey how you doing? But like, hey, how you doing? This is your old man, or anything like that. This is your boss. Like, hello, I am trying to reach you, so and so, and I want to know about the fact about I'm calling to get information, of course, about your credit score. And or it could be like, I'm just calling to let you know about the fact about you were supposed to be calling me back half an hour ago. But and then knowing about anybody will probably thinking about that if you were to get any type of messages, it is any type of important messages, or if it's like what you call is like just I'm just seeing the call, how you doing? But other than that, like talking about is that with this drawing right here is that what I would include right here is a picture right here, and anybody will probably thinking about what's that? It's like which I'll explain is that this right here is like what you call is like anybody probably thinking about that. But yeah, it's an online. You say instrument logo. It is if most of us are familiar like with maybe with Skype or Magic online support. It is that knowing about that with this right here is like say a logo. It is that if you were to actually be making a phone calls like maybe on a smartphone, it is that you would have something like this right here, to where that this would be like anybody would probably think about if anybody has had like what you call maybe an online friend, maybe an imaginary friend. It is anybody probably think about with this imaginary friend, you give it a name, and of course about enter any information about, of course, where they're from, and of course how experienced they are with technology it is, and knowing about that, yeah, with this imaginary friend, if they were to do their homework and then maybe research about the newest, latest update, of course, so far as, for telephone technologies it is knowing about like, and hey, this is your imaginary friend, Quetzal. Like, I'm just letting you know that the rates, for the international calling, has gone down, of course, and knowing about that, you do the math right, instead of $1.70, it is, per minute, for what for talking time and talking text it is, and knowing about that, you would have it to where that it would be only about maybe 99 cents or something like that a minute, for international calling it is, or it could be maybe 79 cents a minute, or 13 cents a minute, something like that. But anyway, you got right there is like imaginary friend. But anybody will probably thinking about right here that go ahead and I'll go ahead and start with, like, say, with green is talk about with, like, say with 1. If you were to get connected, and you say to the operator, it's like, O for operator, for O, and then talk about that, O for operator, or operator, and then talking about is like, for 2, 2 for menus it is. Anybody would probably thinking about that, anybody. Well, go ahead and write it down. Yeah, I'm used to saying write it down on your shirt, and then you'll be able to remember something. But you got right here's the menu, and then anybody will probably think about, if most of us are familiar, like, with with Magic Jack or anything like that, voice messaging skills. It's like talk about how to work the voice messaging it is, and that they give you like with Magic Jack that I don't know if anybody here is familiar with, like, Magic Jack, that you have these menus. It's like ask if you want to save or listen or delete, or say press 5 or 6 for. I think I was just using the Magic Jack not too long ago, and a lot of times it would say press 1 if you want to listen, press 2 if you want to play the next message or something, and then 3 for previous messages, 4 for more options, and then of course it gives you like and one thing about Magic Jack that I had noticed, of course, is that in case if you were to erase a message, then a lot of times I guess it would stay saved on there for at least 30 days until it's it's finally cleared, of course, from the mailbox it is. But you have it to where they gives you like the options to where press 7 to check deleted messages. If you want to undelete a message, press 7. Of course, that would be like available on like Magic Jack. And then of course, press star for help or pound to exit. And then knowing about that anybody would probably thinking about, if you were to get any type of messages, it is. Like with any type of messages that a couple times, of course, I left a few video messages. Of course, it's like talking about with video messages. And anybody will probably thinking about that with video messages. Like, and well, with video messages, it's like I'm not exactly sure, how it works, but on the other hand, too, that knowing about that is like with the webcam it is. And anybody will probably thinking about that yeah, with video messaging it is. That knowing about that, anybody will probably think, well, really. All you really need to do is, take the time, of course, to get familiar with, like, the settings and stuff like that. But whenever I first used video messaging, it was that I can remember that the thing I meant, of course, is like whenever I missed a call, whenever I was calling and say, my parents it was, and knowing about that it would give you like what you call like underneath this logo is they talk about leave video message it was, and I would be able to leave a video message, and a lot of times it was just a few clicks. Anybody were probably thinking about it's hard, just to do that, and I don't want to move the mouse it is, and anybody will probably thinking about that I don't want to mess with this, I don't want to mess with that. But on the other hand too, that knowing about that yeah, if anything, they were like this, like, well, if you want to go ahead and just watch me do it, then I'll show you. But other than that if you were to go ahead and click on on the actual computer, or if it was an actual smartphone it is, I don't even know if you can actually do it on a smartphone, but where you can leave video messages it is, and I think that there is. But then of course you would probably have to download the Skype app, of course, on your on your smartphone. It is, but basically, click. There will be like an option that would say, leave a video message. It is, and see, leave video message. See, for leave video message, if you want to leave a video message, it is, and knowing about that, and then of course there will be another screen that would come up, and then it would tell you like you'll click record. It's like those basic options about how to record it is. But anyway, anybody probably thinking about that yeah, it's like if you want to go ahead and maybe talk through the microphone right here. It's like talk to the microphone. It's like well, what are you gonna say? It's like how's it going today? Good morning. Good morning, Atlanta, or anything like that. And then or it could be related to the fact about that yeah, if it was for business reasons or anything like that. Anybody probably thinking about if you were to say anything through the microphone, and of course of the speaker, it is. It's like be able to hear the person. It is. Anybody probably thinking about with voice messaging services, and knowing about that I have like which calls 3 different voice messages. You got the say with the cell phone, and of course with the phones around here, and knowing about that if you were to like what's called leave a message, it is. Anybody would probably think about if it's an urgent message, and a lot of times that they would have it to where you'll use the telephone keypad, of course, just to use it. On here, into that knowing about that yeah, with me a lot of times need my glasses, of course, just to be able to to read the letters. Of course, it's like talking about it's like on the telephone keypad. It is it that whenever I first used the cell phone, a lot of people probably think about it just like using a calculator. But only it's like with the calculator though, you more likely notice that the numbers are quite different compared to like from a calculator to the actual telephone. It is. You got here's the plus and minus, of course the percentage, and then the number 7 and 8 and 9. And a lot of times you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Why is it that it's reversed compared to like what you say the telephone keypad? And a lot of ways I'm just like wondering that is it all the fact about that it's all about about counting backwards between like what you calls like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If it's all the fact about putting it reversed, it's like you have it right here is reversed, and number 0 about right here. Like about everybody would need to know the difference between a calculator and of course with the telephone. But other than that, I'm talking about it's like yeah. Anybody would probably think about one thing that more likely I would like to see, of course, is like with the phones. It's like talking about if you were to highlight a number right here, it would glow in different colors. It is. And anybody would probably think about that. Maybe if allow it to where it would be waterproof and maybe damage proof. It is. And knowing about it's like if it had that well-made flexibility to where it won't get broken so easily. But other than that, is like talking about with the damages though, and with the damages, and of course with the voicemail, it is that one thing of course about whenever I had gotten Magic Jack, and of course whenever I had gotten the Skype, and then of course with had gotten another that's like talking about with say Magic Jack, and of course the other telephone that I have service with the cell phone, it is. And people probably thinking about that yeah, whenever you get something like this, that knowing about that going from like the old school for where you have an answering machine that you got connected separately to the devices, it is, and getting started with all this other stuff, and you're like thinking about that yeah, well, you can go ahead and give me a grade, go ahead and give me a D- on that, because more likely I'm not going to learn how to use it. And anybody probably think about, well, just like a normal pager, if you know how to check your messages maybe at work, if you got work an office phone, a work number or whatever they call it, that you'll be able to go ahead and check your number, dial the number to be able to call your voice messaging for your work phone, it is, and be able to call the work phone just to check your messages. And anybody would probably maybe thinking about that. Well, I mean, here's the thing: I don't even call the number. I just wait until I get into the office, just to be able to check my messages or anything like that, or anything related to if it's to check my bank status or whatever you call it. then more likely I'm just gonna wait until I get a letter in the mail, saying that about how much I got in there, and knowing about any other statuses. But anyway, anybody probably thinking about that? Yeah, that is your responsibility to make sure it's in good hands. But other than that, like talking about with the voicemail service, anybody probably thinking about that yeah, if you have like this, what you call this operator person right here, it's like what you call is like talking about, somebody give it a name and maybe have it to where you can program it, of course, to where that adds, like we say, the trust person is knowing about the have it to where if you have a question about something, it's like give it a name. It's like I say give it a name, such as Scartland, Scartlian, or something like that. Say for Scartlian. You say with the K right there, and people probably thinking about the Scartlian, and they give it a name, and of course you'll program it to where that it would get familiar with like the software that you're using and knowing about, like, hey, how's it going? I'm just letting you know that there's been a change, of course, an update, of course, in the telephone service. Or hey, I'm just letting you know that you press 5 in order to be able to get to the optical menu it is, or if you would say for greeting options or anything like that, or maybe advanced options, click on this button right here, click on 8 or 9, say just to return to the menu or something, and then press 5 if you want to change folders or anything like that. But other than that, I talk about with white right here. Anybody would probably think about, well, what does white do? Is that really what you call blend the colors together, like I mentioned before? Or is that on your hand too, that knowing about? Or is that more likely what you call as like an eraser? But anybody will probably thinking about, if you had like that type of training, if we were to do our homework, it's talking about, it's like what you call like the voice messaging skills. It's talking about like, hey, how's it going? I'm just letting you know, of course, about, I'm just letting you know, like, I'm just letting you know, okay, that there's been a change to the telephone service. Like, I'm just letting you know that there's, of course, been updated the telephone service, that there's been a change in the number. But other than that, like talking about, it's like we say with the voice messaging service, like, please give me a call, so I won't feel alone. But other than that, like talking about right there is like the voice messages and so forth, and have a nice day, you're already now. But other than that, I talk about with the voice messages, is I talk about with the messaging skills.